Hi everybody, welcome to my 30-minute Pilates reformer workout. Remember that when you're choosing springs, to choose what is comfortable for your body. My machine is a Maratech machine, so I have red, blue, and white. I will throw out a suggestion for spring settings, but if it doesn't feel good for your body, or if it's not hard enough, or if it's too hard, please make that appropriate change. Don't ever feel obligated to do whatever I'm doing. I'm doing what's comfortable for me. And you might be more experienced, or this might be new to you, so please do what's comfortable for you. Please feel free to stop and take water breaks, pause the video, and do not continue with the video if you are feeling sore, injured, or you are not supposed to be exercising. So we will get started, and we are going to start on our backs with 2 red and 1 blue. We are going to set our headrest up to be flat because we are going to be going into bridging early on. We are going to start with some pelvic tilting, so I'm just resting my feet on the bar. Bar is all the way up to the top setting. And I'm just tipping my tailbone towards the mat, creating a bigger space between my back and the mat, and then curling the tailbone towards the ribs, flattening the back against the mat. As I tip my tailbone, I take a deep inhale through my nose, and as I curl the tailbone, I exhale through my mouth. Little tip, little curl, and you'll notice your entire spine moves along for this movement. Your chin will nod back and forth. And then we're gonna go into our bridges from here. So you're pressing down through the feet to lift the bum. You're heavy in the backs of your shoulder blades. You're really trying to keep this carriage closed. If it feels better for you, you can do a posterior tilt of your pelvis, so curling that tailbone towards your ribs before you lift into your bridge, or you can lift from a neutral spine. As you lift your bum from the carriage, think about reaching long through your thighs and through your knees, making sure that your knees don't flare out to the side. Really drawing in abdominals, trying to prevent any arching through that lower back. Feeling the activation in the back of the legs as we try and keep that carriage closed. Now, more difficult would be taking off springs because it'll be harder to keep the carriage closed. If you need more help, you can add more springs. From here, we're taking our toes to the foot bar, and we're going to begin pressing the carriage in and out. So my heels are right underneath my toes. I'm really just pressing through the bar to send my knees out to be straight, but I'm not locking through the backs of my knees. From here, I'm maintaining my neutral, so I've drawn my abdominals in and up. And your headrest can go wherever for this exercise and moving forward. I like to exhale as I press away and inhale as I come back down. Continue pressing the carriage away, feeling the work through the fronts and the backs of the legs, keeping those heels right underneath your toes. And then we are going to get ready to bring our heels together and our toes apart. And same movement, you're pressing that carriage away, but we're in an externally rotated position, so the toes are still on the bar, but our heels are together, and you might feel a bit more work through the inner thighs. Now, if you're going through these movements and you're thinking, oh, this is too easy, by all means, bring the carriage down safely and add another spring. So to make this harder, you can add a red and take away the blue. So adding more springs will make this harder for your legs. Now, if this is too difficult, please take away a spring. So you can always take away a red or a blue. We will continue to build on this, so it will get a little bit more challenging. So now is a good time to change the springs. Continue exhaling as you press away. And now we're going to take our heels to the bar. You're flexing those toes back to the shin to get some activation through the front of the lower leg. And you're really driving through the heel to send the carriage away. I want you to think about pressing through the backs of the thigh and under the bum. Think about squeezing the glutes when you send that carriage all the way back. Exhaling through the mouth to send the carriage away, inhaling through the nose as you come back down. Again, just really driving through those heels, getting a bit more glute activation for this type of footwork. Trying to maintain your neutral, still drawing abdominals in and up, wide across your chest. Trying to not let the shoulders dig too far into the shoulder rests, so keeping this all in the legs. Awesome job. Now we take one leg up to tabletop and we're doing single leg presses, but as we do a single leg press, the other leg is shooting over the bar as we come in and going back into tabletop as the carriage gets sent out. So kind of like a bicycle motion. We'll do about 10 to 12 per leg. Please go at your own pace, keep this comfortable. You're gonna feel a lot of work in your one leg. And after your 10 to 12, you can automatically switch to your other side. Awesome job, breathe through this. Leg extends as the carriage comes in and it goes back into tabletop as you bring that carriage back out. Exhale the press, inhale as you come back down. Beautiful job. You can do it. It's getting warm. Awesome. From here, we're going to take our heels wide along the bar, externally rotated so toes are pointing out. And we're in a tight, like a sumo squat position, and we're doing footwork from here. So the toes are still flexed towards the shins. And we're pressing that carriage away, squeezing the legs, and bringing the carriage back down. You can continue with the same breath, so inhaling as you come down, exhaling as you press away. Trying to keep the knees tracking over the second and third toe, so not letting the knees go too far out to the side, still maintaining some control and keeping that neutral spine. Again, go at your own pace here. Try not to rush through this. Last one here. Awesome job. We are going to hook our knees over the bar, bring our hands right over the shoulders, nod your chin to your throat. We're ab curling up to sitting. We are changing the springs to one red and one blue. Now we are doing calf work and then going into arms and legs. So a red and a blue feels good for me, but if you want to take this up a notch, 2 red would be harder. And if a red and a blue feels like too much, you can do a red and a white. So we're coming back on to our backs. We're bringing our toes to the bar. And we're just lifting and lowering from the foot and ankle. So the knees maintain an extended position so they stay straight. And you're pressing away, pulling those heels up to the bum, and then letting the heels lower underneath the bar. Try your best to not let the knees lock out in this position, although it can feel quite difficult otherwise. Feel that stretch as your heels lower. Really think about pulling the heels up to the bum, feeling the activation in the calves and the back of the lower leg. Awesome job. We're going to continue with an externally rotated position, so heels together, toes apart. This one is burning, so we won't stay here long. Same exact movement. Awesome job. Now we're bringing those feet apart again, and we're going into running. So as one heel lowers, the opposite knee bends. Toes are still on the bar. Now if you need to hold this stretch a little longer on each side, please feel free to do so. Keep this one slow, and remember to stand tall between switching. Don't rush through this one. This one should feel like a nice stretch, but you'll still feel the burn. And one last hold stretch here, both heels. Okay, from here we are grabbing the straps behind us. We are going to start with hands and straps, so you will be on your back. Your legs will be in a tabletop position. So knees right over hips, feet in line with knees, hands through the loops. Hands are going to start right over the shoulders, drawing in abdominals, and we start to pull from under our armpits to bring the arms right down by our sides. Exhaling to press, inhaling as the arms come back up. Really trying to make sure that those knees don't come into the chest as you arc the arms down. What I'm doing here is extending my knees straight away on an angle. This is going to increase the core work. This is optional. If this is too much for you and you feel your ribs lifting, please keep your legs in tabletop. Only do this if you can maintain your neutral spine. The lower your legs, the harder it'll be. There will be more demand on your core, a little bit more challenging to keep those lower ribs into the mat. Awesome job, breathe through it. And now we're going into circles, so legs just go back into tabletop. We're gonna do both directions, so you can start wherever. They come down, out to the side like you have wings, and back around. Break this movement up into a few different pieces. using your breath to get you through. Feeling the work in the lats and the back of the arms. Getting a nice stretch. And reverse. Perfect. You're doing so good. From here, you're going to bend your elbows, keep the knees bent, you're going to nod your chin to your throat, and you're going to extend the elbows and knees. You're going to go into a bicycle movement, keeping yourself in an ab curl. You're reaching long through the straps so that the carriage does not move. Keep this slow and controlled. Again, you're in an ab curl, so you're anchored at your shoulder blades. If this is sore on your neck, you don't have to add the ab curl in, and you can just lay flat. Breathe through it, keep reaching long through those straps. Awesome job, and come back down. Awesome, we're going into feet and straps, the best part of all. I like to press away using the bar to help get my feet in the straps. Straps go right around the arches, and we really got to get into that neutral spine, so heavy in the lower ribs, tip towards tailbone. As we press those legs down, we don't want those ribs lifting, and as they come back up, we don't want that bum or tailbone curling or peeling off the mat. So it's really important to maintain the neutral so we're not pulling from our back. Now, if you feel any type of strain in the back of your knees, please add a little micro bend as I'm doing here. We want to feel the activation in the back of the leg and under the bum. And we don't want to feel any pulling or straining through the knees or the ankles. You can exhale to press down, inhale to come back up. And only go as low or as high as you can maintain your neutral. So if you can't go down all the way, that's okay. The focus is keeping that neutral spine and keeping all the work in the legs. And from here, we're going to externally rotate again, and same thing, we're arcing up and down. So heels together, toes apart, trying to keep those heels together for the whole movement. Same rules apply, keeping that neutral spine, pressing from the back of the bum and under behind the thighs. Arcing up, and then down, using your breath. Keep going. And toes together, heels apart. This one feels sort of awkward, but just getting all positions of the hip. So arcing in this position, again, keeping that neutral spine. You might feel this one in different places compared to the last two. I like to check in with my hips by placing my hands over my hips just to make sure everything is staying stable and not rocking back and forth or side to side. Now from here, we're arcing the legs down and we're doing a smiley face. So they arc up and to center and then down, halfway around, not a full circle. So kind of like you're making a smiley face, so down and around halfway and then back down to center. A nice fluid movement here. And just imagine you're drawing a happy face. And then we're gonna go into full circle, so down, around, and all the way through. So following that circle all the way through, maintaining that neutral, so really making sure your legs aren't pulling you side to side. Really drawing in abdominals here. Continue with your circles here. Try to keep your toes pointing up throughout, if you can. And then we are going to begin to get ready to reverse directions. And again, one direction might feel a little bit more difficult than the other. I like to place my hands on my hips to really just make sure that my pelvis is staying stable. Bending the knees if you feel any kind of strain, again, just kind of checking in on your neutral and how you feel. Now from here, we're bringing the legs halfway, heels come together, and we're doing a frog bend. So the knees just come right over the hips, but they're coming out to the side a little bit. You're pressing out and away. We just want to prevent the bum from tucking or the tailbone from lifting. So you kind of stop a little bit sooner than you would think, because if we bring the knees too far into the chest, the bum and the tailbone will start to curl. The hard part and the goal is to keep those heels together throughout. So think about them being glued together. Exhale to press away, inhale as you come back in. Squeezing those legs to send the feet away. Awesome. And then from here, we're gonna go into a Peter Pan. So we're kind of combining the smiley face and the frog bend. One leg extends out to the side while the other bends, and you press with the bent leg back to center. We want to prevent that straight leg from taking our body and our pelvis off the mat to the side. So the hard part is trying to keep that pelvis stable and aligned. So again, you can place your hands over your pelvis to make sure that it doesn't move. One strap will go kind of slack, as the other will be a little bit more controlled with your bent leg. So again, one knee bends, the other straightens. Awesome job. Just take this one nice and slow. All done. Okay, we're taking the feet out of the straps and just finding the bar and just dropping the straps behind us. And we are going to come up to change the springs. We are going to stay on the red and the blue for now. So our hands are coming to the bar, just in line with our shoulders. Feet are against the shoulder rest, and we're going to send those hips back towards the feet. So we're in a little bit of a hinged position. Ears and shoulders have a nice space between them, and we're just pressing through the feet to send the knees away, giving the glutes a nice squeeze. So as you notice, my upper body is staying really stable, and the only thing that is moving are my hips and my knees. So we're pressing through the carriage to send the knees away, and then they come back underneath our chest. But I'm not pushing away with my arms at all, so we're keeping this in the glutes. Again, give those glutes a squeeze as the carriage goes out. Try not to arch through the back at all. Keep looking down, neutral spine in the neck. Awesome. And then from here, we're taking off a blue. And we're gonna go into lunges at the side of the carriage. So my machine allows me to get nice and low to the floor, but if you have a higher machine, what I recommend doing is taking your box and putting it under your foot so that you can get in a nice lunge position. So my left leg is just in line with the bar, and I'm just starting with a little press through the right leg. So my knee is on the carriage to start, and it's just a little extension through that carriage leg, or the right hip in my case. Little squeeze the glute. This is gonna feel easy for now. From here, we're taking the knee off and we're doing a full press. We wanna stay nice and heavy in the supporting leg on the outside. So you're gonna feel that left leg burn, feeling the left glute burn as we send that carriage out. Awesome job. And we're gonna hold in our lunge and start rotating to that outer leg. Now, if the red feels too easy, you can always add a white in this case, or if the red is too hard, you can do a blue. Really keeping that back leg pressing back as we rotate. We're doing 10 rotations. Awesome job. And then from here, we are going to add the blue back, just a little intermission before we do the other lunge. We're going into elephant. So our feet are flat on the carriage, backed up all the way to the shoulder rests. I'm pressing my hips over my ankles, and my head is in line with my arms. And my arms again aren't moving, but I'm pressing through the backs of the ankles and feet to send the carriage away. So pelvic bones come together here, and then they separate and stretch as my feet come back underneath me. I'm gonna feel a really nice hamstring stretch as my feet come back underneath. Now, if you have to rotate out at the hip, if that's more comfortable for you and your body, please feel free to do so. Or if you need to bend your knees if your hamstrings are tight. What we want to avoid is our head coming through our arms. Awesome. we are taking off that blue spring and we are going to our other side for lunges, starting with the knee on the carriage and just a little press back. So my left leg is just pressing through the shoulder rest. Just a little bit of hip extension, and I'm staying really heavy and stable through my right leg. Knee is tracking with second and third toe. And a little press, and we are going to get ready to do a full press. So you're going to lift that knee off the carriage, setting the carriage all the way back, squeezing that right glute, but staying heavy through the left. Keeping the chest up. Now, if you need to have support, you can place 1 or 2 hands on the bar, or even just 1 or 2 fingers on the bar, just if you need a little bit of extra support. And from here, we keep that carriage pressed out and we rotate towards that outer leg 10 times. Keep stable. A lot of balance, coordination, and core work involved in this one. Keep breathing. And come on up. And we are adding a blue spring to our spring settings, and we are going to face the back of the machine. So I have 1 red and 1 blue on. If this feels too strong, I recommend 1 red and 1 white. So our knees are right against the shoulder rests, and we're grabbing the straps in our hands. So loops right in the middle of our hands. Bum is tucked, nice neutral position, and we're just doing a little press back. So we're pressing through back of armpits, wide across the chest, activating through back of the shoulder, and you're looking forward to start. We will progress this by looking left as we press our arms back and looking right. Looking in the center between. Little press, look left. Little press, look right. If this goes into your neck at all, please lower your spring settings. We want to keep this one comfortable. And it's not a big movement, so you keep it really small, but you feel the work in the back of the arm. Awesome. From here, we can let the straps fall in the well. I'm taking off the blue spring and we are going to 1 red. I'm lowering my headrest and I'm bringing my hands to the rails. Knees are right up against the shoulder rests. We're going to press down through our hands to round the spine and then sink the belly, arcing up into a cat-cow. So rounding the back, sinking the belly, chest reaches up, pressing down to round. You can inhale to round, exhale to arch. And just go into a range of motion that's comfortable for you. And then we're going to go into like a reverse ab curl. So my hands are staying stable and I'm bringing the carriage in with my knees. You can tuck the tailbone a little bit, feeling the activation through the abdominals, pressing towards your wrists. So it's important here to not pull with the arms. You're stabilizing through the arms, but you're pressing through the knees. And sending those hips back into a child's pose. Awesome. Now I'm bringing the headrest down again, and we're grabbing the straps in our hands. I'm crossing one leg over the other. You can bend your knees if that's more comfortable, or just cross your legs if that's more comfortable. And we're just gonna keep the chest nice and wide, and we tip off our sitting bones into a flat back. And our arms stay straight, so we're not pulling on the straps at all. We're just tipping back using our abdominals to bring us up and down. So tipping off the sitting bones. Awesome, and we hold back here into a bicep curl. So you can try and hold your elbows at shoulder level, but you can also just lower them a bit if that's more comfortable to you. If 1 red is too hard, going to a blue would make this a little bit easier. And you're just in a flat back position where it's kind of shaky for your abdominals, but you're not all the way flat. Awesome job. And then we hold our bicep curl. We begin to rotate side to side, trying to keep the hips and pelvis steady as we rotate through our thoracic spine or our mid-back, trying to keep our chest nice and wide. From here, we're gonna take the straps around our elbows. Our elbows are gonna be at a 90-degree angle, pinkies facing inward. We're gonna open them up as if we're opening a newspaper, feeling the activation through the backs of the shoulders. And we're just opening and closing as we maintain that 90 degrees at the elbow, keeping the elbows at shoulder level. So this is important. As you fatigue, those are going to want to drop. Exhaling to pull back, inhaling as you come back to center. Trying to sit up nice and tall throughout the whole movement. Try not to lean back as you open the arms. And then from here, we're going to turn around, keeping the straps close by. I'm going to one blue spring because this is comfortable for me and my upper arm strength, but if you wish to challenge yourself, you can go to a red. I'm sitting on my heels and I'm arcing the arms up to shoulder level. I'm just sweeping them up and forward like I'm delivering a meal on a platter. Exhaling to lift up and not going past the shoulders here. Now there are a couple of options to make this more difficult. I do like to come up into like a tall kneeling position and then back down as my arms come down. So you can switch between these two positions. If you want more resistance, you can stay in a tall kneeling position, but be mindful that now you have to worry about balance and core. And a lot of the time people do kind of lean forward and almost fall. So just be very, very careful if you do choose that option. And if you are coming up to a tall kneeling position, you want to squeeze the glutes. And then from here, we bring the arms to shoulder level, soften the elbows, and we are hugging a tree, bringing the fingers towards each other and then apart for a stretch. Again, keeping those elbows nice and soft. Feeling the work in the front of the chest. Now, if this position isn't comfortable for your knees, you're more than welcome to just sit on your bum. And then from here, we're gonna go into salute. So you're making a triangle at the top of your forehead and you're pressing that triangle out and away from your forehead and then back in. Trying to isolate this in the triceps, back of the elbow, back of the shoulder. Awesome job. And then you can just leave the straps behind you. We're going to one red, taking off the blue. We're coming up to standing in a high heel shoe position, so the heel is against the shoulder rest. The toes are on the carriage, hands are shoulder width apart. You're sending your hips back over your ankles, keeping your ears in line with your arms. We're going into up stretch, so you keep the carriage closed. And then you're going into a long plank. You're shifting your chest over the bar. You're piking your hips up to the ceiling, but you're keeping the carriage closed. You shift your hips back over your ankles to starting position. You go into your long plank. Shift your chest back over the bar. Pike those hips up, sending the hips back towards the feet. And keep going. So it's kind of like you're circling like a wheel. Break this one down into different movements. Keep it slow. Plank, chest over bar. Pike those hips. Send the carriage back. Keep it closed. Awesome job. Breathe through it. To make this harder, you would go on one blue. To make this easier, you could add a white. More springs will be harder on your arms and legs. Less springs would make this harder on your abdominals. Good job. We're almost there. And you're all done. We are gonna cool down now with a little mermaid stretch. I like to do mermaid on one blue and one white. You're welcome to choose one a red or just a blue. So we're sitting with this zigzag kind of position. So my front foot's against my back thigh and my back shin is against the shoulder rests. My bar arm is very close to the end. I press away and reach with the other arm and I come back to a tall sitting position. If you can keep your hips stable on the mat, that's great. If it does lift a little bit, that's okay. But think about reaching long through the side of your body and through those fingers. And just kind of breathe how you wish here. You've earned this stretch. Enjoy how it feels. And then we're switching to the other side. And at the end, you press and then reach. Awesome job. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute reformer class. I'm looking forward to providing more reformer videos. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to be the first in the know. Have an awesome rest of your day.